mystifying. You either did something recently, you're about to do something, or this is just the aura you're giving off. It is mystifying people, okay? Let me give you a definition. Mystifying, bewildering, baffling, or impossible to clearly explain. You've been doing something and people see you and they're like, what the heck is going on? But you are not explaining yourself. You recognize your power, so you're like, okay, let me just be mystifying. Let these people just be mystified. Okay? A situation or concept that completely confuses your understanding or defies rational logic. Yeah, you've been using divine logic, divine order, which transcends human rational logic. Human rational logic gets us slavery and apartheid and wage slavery and debt, and endless genocide, right? So you are tapping into source, spirit, magical thinking, something that defies rational logic. And people are like, what? I don't get it. You are puzzling, perplexing, or obscure. Maybe, yeah, you've just been moving in a way that only a couple of people throughout human history have been able to resonate with. But the people who do resonate with it, they love it. Your matrix handlers, they don't love it. You are mystifying them. You're moving in a way that they can't predict, and they don't like that. Their job is to handle you, is to be able to understand what you're doing, predict what you're going to do. And you threw out the script and you are just moving by your heart, by spirit, by faith. You're walking by faith and not by sight. And it is just confounding your matrix handlers. They are mystified by how you're operating now. Okay? Mystifying. It denotes confusion, whether it's a harmless puzzle or a frustrating mystery. I bet you might hesitate sometimes with sharing your brilliance or moving how you want to because you're afraid of confusing people. You don't want them to think you're crazy. You're like, oh, they're going to be like, what are you doing? But you know what? We as humans actually love being mystified. We love a puzzle. Puzzles are a big thing. We love a mystery, unsolved or otherwise. It's like a very popular genre of music and storytelling. We love to be confused and to not know what's going on, and for our understanding to be a little bit out of our reach. So don't be afraid that you're mystifying. Sometimes Billy updates me with what's going on in the 3D, and he's like, oh, Donald Trump is like, ha ha ha, when I'm done with ruining the American government, I'm gonna go over to Israel. And he keeps doing things that are just mystifying to us. The Israelis, they are just acting in ways that are completely baffling to me. I'm so confused. I'm like, why on earth would you act this way? Everyone hates it. We're all begging you to stop. It's horrifying. Don't do it. But they just go on and do what they want to do. Doesn't stop them. So it shouldn't stop you. I was watching today this thing on My 600-Pound Life. I love stuff like that. My life is so peaceful and joyous and beautiful and dreamy that, like, I watch things like My 600-Pound Life or 90 Day Fiance, Love After Lockup, things like that. I love watching stories of other humans who act in ways that are completely mystifying to me. I don't understand it at all. It's baffling. Like their explanations for it don't make any logical sense to me. It seems like they're doing things that they don't like. It makes their life very stressful, and yet they still do it. And you know what? I love it. So I was watching this recap. I don't even watch these shows. I watch the recaps of the shows. So I was watching a recap of this episode of My 600-Pound Life. And it's got this black woman who's probably about my age, in her late 30s, maybe in her early 40s. And she's like 615 pounds, okay? And um, she, is so big that she needs help bathing and doing all of her daily tasks. And so she has her like nieces, her like 16 and 15-year-old nieces. They help her shower. So she'll go into the bathroom. She's too big to fit into the actual tub in the shower. So she has to sit on the toilet, and her 16-year-old niece hoses her down and then, helps her dry off. And then the 16-year-old has to clean up the bathroom because now there's water all over the floor because, of course, she doesn't fit in the shower. And when she gets to Dr. Nazardin, the weight loss doctor, he's like, does no one tell you, like, hey, you should stop eating? And the woman is like, no, no one dares step on my toes. What? How powerful? How powerful, honestly, to like, people will let you act in ways that are kind of baffling. Like, girl, you're letting your 16-year-old niece bathe you just because you don't want to like stop eating? That's crazy. And it's crazy to me that like, my sister would not abide that. She would not let her children bathe me and cook all the corn dogs I wanted just because I was like 600 pounds and I wanted to like keep eating. So I was watching this episode of My 600-Pound Life and I was like, wow, people will allow you to act in ways that don't make any freaking sense. It would make sense to be like, girl, no, stop eating. I'm not going to let my child bathe you because you don't want to stop eating. However, this person on My 600-Pound Life, she knows that like people will do it. She doesn't have to change. She doesn't have to act in ways that make sense to other people. They will let her act in mystifying ways. Man, it was such a ridiculous episode. Like, and she's, a black woman, and like I want to root for her, but I was like, oh girl, you're being so ridiculous. She was trying to explain to Dr. Now why she couldn't lose any weight, even though she's 615 pounds, and she was like trying to explain how hard it was to him. And she was like, I had to clean out my house of all the food. I had to learn to cook a low calorie diet. I was like, girl, mama, like, it's like Americans, we just have such an easy, privileged, powerful life. We don't even realize how powerful it is. She actually has people waiting on her hand and foot, just because she like doesn't want to stop eating. And like because she doesn't want to like stop eating, she like gets so big that she can't work, she can't bathe herself, she can't like walk around, and she also can't take anyone being like, girl, just stop eating. Like when Dr. Now was like, you can't just like stop eating, like you can't move around. So like, how are you getting food in your body? And it's because she just orders everyone around. And everyone, even though they know she doesn't need the food, they know she can't really do anything if they don't give her the food. What's she going to get up and chase you? She's 615 pounds. She's not going to do that. But still, she is able to act in ways that don't even make sense to her. She knows she's killing herself. She knows she's, degrading her quality of life. But everyone around her is just like, eh. She asks me to bathe her, so I send my children to do it. That was the wild thing. Like she had her teenage nieces helping to bathe her, and then come to find out she has a husband. Honestly, though, iconic. What a queen. Like, we're out here afraid to ask for help, afraid to ask for what we want. And some of us are out here, eating ourselves into immobility and still expecting people to like take care of us and support us. So, say all this to say, you can act in ways that don't make sense to other people. You might be limiting yourself right now because you're afraid of looking crazy to your family. You're afraid that your coworkers or your bosses, they'll be like, what are they doing? What? Like you feel like you have to explain to people where you are, but you can actually just be mystifying. People love to be mystifying. People can act in ways that totally don't make sense to anyone else, and they will still take care of all your needs. The Israelis are acting in ways that do not make sense to me or any rational person with, like, human logic. It doesn't make any sense. They've so dehumanized themselves. But they know that no matter how unreasonable their behavior, people are still going to support them. They're still going to be like, oh, don't even, it's just a religious difference, a cultural difference. They will let them act like crazy, violent, racist barbarians. We let Donald Trump act in ways that don't make sense to us. We let the abusers in our family, we let our crazy, incompetent, asshole bosses act in ways that don't make sense to us, right? And you're out here being like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm weird. Oh no. Oh. These are my last two most recent purchases from Depop. It's this like beautiful abaya. Let me see if I can show you really quick. So cute. So powerful, so sexy, so weird, so interesting. I just love how mystical and magical it looks. Um, and last time I wore, this abaya, Billy was just like, it's so different than how you usually dress. Usually, I mean, I dress however I want and however I feel. Usually I'm wearing like a kimono. But sometimes I just want to have my titties out. Sometimes I just want to, like, I don't know, like whatever the reason I feel called to move to wear whatever I move to wear that day. But I just do it. And you got to keep them guessing. So today, Friday, day of the goddess, the divine feminine, is about the unknown, the mystical, the things that defy rational logic, the things that men are like, I don't get it. What's the point, bro? Anyway, I got this on Depop also, and I just like love it. It looks so cool and like hip, interesting, and mystical. And so yeah, Billy was like, "Wow, it's just so different." And I'm like, "Good. I like to keep these hoes guessing. Like I crave freedom. I don't like any type of boundary, any type of I hate when someone can predict what I'm doing. Sometimes like I'll go to a restaurant and I kind of like know exactly what I'm going to get each time, but sometimes the restaurant eventually they'll be like you're going to get this order, you're going to get the usual, and I'm a little like I'm a little offended. I feel a little like, oh, too seen. I'm like, listen, you don't know me. I'm actually going to get something different, even though I don't even want something different. I do want the thing that I do usually get, but I don't like people knowing that I'm going to do it. And so the powers that were, they love being able to predict you. That's why they spend so much time on surveillance and on, just trying to know what you're doing, getting you to like reveal yourself. They want to know what's going on. They want to know your inner workings. They want to know what your plan is. They want to know what you know. That's why there's so much power in being mystifying. There's so much power in just moving how you're called to move and not feeling compelled to explain yourself. Letting people think you're crazy. Letting people think you're just, oh, what are they doing? What are they going to do next? Powerful. That's actually like a very powerful strategic advantage for your opponent to not know what you're going to do next, for no one to know what you're going to do next. The Israelis wish they could have a little mysticism. They wish they could have a little intrigue, a little, no one really knows what they're doing. Now, everyone knows what they're doing. They keep broadcasting it. It's very obvious. They write it down, they film it, they laugh about it, and then they're like, whoa, oh, what? Everyone's looking at us? Like, babe. And so you're out here being afraid of being misconstrued or of people not knowing exactly what you meant or like not knowing what you're going to do next or why you're doing something when that is such a great source of power. You should be enjoying this time. It's a measure of your success by how little people can follow you. You're off the radar. They can't detect you. They can't predict what you're going to do next. The greatest armies in the world wish they had this kind of ability to move in stealth mode like you. It's literally mystifying. It's confusing and bewildering. Another thing about being mystifying, so I was talking about my 600-pound life and how this woman is like acting in a way that doesn't make any freaking sense to me. She has like a bad quality of life. She's talking about how like when you're 600 pounds, you can't have dignity. And she's just like has to rely on her extended family um and you know what I'm doing? I'm watching. I'm so intrigued. I'm so fascinated by something I can't understand, by something that really confuses and perplexes and puzzles me. I don't understand why this person and the people around her move the way they do, but I really enjoy it. It's really entertaining. And so consider that people will feel that way about you. If you move in a way that doesn't make sense to them, they can still really enjoy it. They can still really support it. Oh my God. I also watch things about like scams and cults. These scammers, they'll be like, oh, hey, I'm Brad Pitt and I'm trapped in a hospital after working on an oil rig. So I need you to send me, thousands of dollars. And these people do it. And it's it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make logical sense. On these scam shows, the person is always like, you're like 65 years old. Why would Brad Pitt need you to send him thousands of dollars to help him out of the hospital? What are you obviously, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make rational sense. But these people still send hundreds of thousands of dollars to what is obviously a scam. I don't get it. It baffles me, it confuses me, but I can't stop watching. I love it. And so I feel like you, maybe in your work or in your home life with your family, with your you're just like leaving a situation where you used to act one way and everyone else acted in this one way, and you were just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna do it the way I feel called to move. And people are like, what? Why are you moving that way? But you're like, what? How are you moving that way? You see people, going to a job they hate, doing a thing they don't like that is not helping the collective, and they know their boss is an asshole, is immoral, is, whatever, doing a wrong thing, and they just keep going. They complain about it like, oh, Mondays, but they still go. That's baffling to me. Quit if you hate it so much. If you're like, for example, working for the government, working for the US military, helping the Zionists in any way, you understand they're committing a genocide. You understand they're lying, they're murdering. You understand they require you to not be able to use your voice fully. You have to suppress yourself in order to, access whatever crumbs they want to give you. Why would you do that? Why would you do what Donald Trump thinks you should do? Donald Trump thinks you should just go to work, keep accepting your servant's salary to do whatever Donald Trump thinks you should do. Girl, what? Baffling, confusing. I don't get it. However, I recognize that people are allowed to make that choice for themselves. Okay, fine. You are allowed to do something that baffles me, and I will be entertained by it. And you can do something that baffles other people. You don't have to go along doing something that everyone else is doing that baffles you just because everyone else is doing it. In fact, you're supposed to be like, listen, I'm just going to do my own thing, even if you guys don't understand it. Who cares what you guys understand? You know, you see people doing things that doesn't make sense to them and they just tell themselves they have to do it. They don't, but they just, for some reason, tell themselves that story. I don't get it. I am someone who's like, yeah, if it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna do something else. Although I have been leaning more into my spiritual side and connecting with the divine and like kind of cosmic order of things, cosmic rationale. And so like, yeah, I follow my intuition, which all not doesn't always make rational sense to me. I can't always understand why exactly I feel called to do this versus this. But I know I can trust it. I know I don't have to understand something to go along with it and for it to be the best thing for me. In fact, I think we have to like get more comfortable with like just do what you want. The logic comes after. You know, the animals, they are going about their day based on intuition, not logic. And they still get all of their needs met. Probably a lot better than the humans get their needs met. Anyway, I delivered the message. Ah, it was so good. Oh my God. Oh. All right, my darlings. Let me know what you think. Go back and watch this one. Go back and watch some of the other ones because they're all so brilliant. Like, comment, subscribe. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. Yeah. All right. I love you guys so much. Talk to you, Earth Angels, later, okay? Love you.